I don't know what's going on right now.
I want to know where you were Sunday night.
I just told you.
No, you think you told me.
I think I told you. Okay.
No, there's a big difference.
I'm not sure what you're getting at. Either take me home or give me a lawyer, because I'm not really, what you're doing is really odd.
Stop me if you've heard this one before, right? But there is this couple, and they're absolutely happy out, they're loving life. But after a while, things start to turn a little bit sour. Things ain't so good, and the relationship turns into a relationship. However, some people don't move on so easy, and obsession grows, jealousy develops, until finally you end up with a victim, a murderer, and an investigation into something terrible that happened. Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this whole video we are going to look into the case of Zachariah Anderson, a man some believe to be the embodiment of living horror, while others believe him to be an innocent man. You know, while a devil draped in blood framed him for murder. But who is that devil?
Whatever happened at trial was definitive. It definitely isn't. There's so much truth that's missing. There's so much story that's missing, and there's so much that is modified. You know, that I think it was obvious to most people that watched the trial that there was information that was definitely corrupted.
That's the biggest question of all. But before we get into all of that, please subscribe to see new stories from the dark every single week. Now, let's give it a go. The setting for today's story, my friends, is this little known place, if you can believe it, called Kenosha, Wisconsin, which I'm pretty sure we've been to before, maybe at some stage, question mark? Who knows these things? But what I can tell you is that Kenosha, it was the lifelong home of Rosalio Gutierrez Jr., who in 2020 was 40 years of age. He'd always been a local boy, graduated from the University of Wisconsin with a degree in criminal justice, which is ironic for some in this story, and was most recently working in property and construction. Very close with his family, his mother especially, and his siblings. Now Rosalio, you know, he had two kids from two different relationships and was by all accounts a devoted dad and an even bigger devoted Cubs fan. Which is what made it, you know, so strange. Like, right in May 2020, when absolutely nobody could get in touch with him. His mom, his brothers, nothing. Which was just like, you know, very out of character for him. You know, people started to wonder, is everything okay? Is he okay? Well, it turned out he was pretty freaking far from okay. At the time, Rosalio was dating a new woman. Her name was Sadie Beecham. They'd only been dating a few months by this stage, since around mid-February 2020. They had met on Facebook. And Sadie too, she had not been in touch with her new fella for a fair bit come this mid to late May 2020. In fact, after not hearing from her new boyfriend Rosalio for about, I want to say 36 hours-ish, she was like, right, I'm gonna go have a look at him. You know, she had last been speaking with Rosalio. He'd last been heard from anybody Sunday night. And now it was around Tuesday midday. That's when Sadie finally says, listen, here, I'm gonna sort this out. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. Sadie ultimately went to Rosalio's apartment, 3709 15th Street, to see what was up, see what he about. The last time Sadie had talked to him was 2 days earlier, in the evening. It was a Sunday. He said he was dropping his daughter off, and then he was going to hang out with a friend named Mike. That was about it. Nothing since. He wasn't replying to any texts, answering any calls. Now his vehicle, two of them, he actually had two cars if you can believe such a thing, they were parked out front of his place, his apartment. No signs of movement though, no lights on, no nothing. And peeking in, the opened screen door at the rear of the property, Sadie saw something that was unmistakable for anything else. It was pooling on the floor, it was spattered on the walls, it was dripping on the couch. It wasn't one of those things you think you know, and you really don't wanna. And it was then that Sadie dialed 911. This was shortly after 11 a.m., Tuesday, May 19th, 2020.
So I was doing a wellness check on a good friend of mine that I was dating, and And I found it weird because I haven't talked to him for like 24 hours. And I just went to his house, and his screen door is wide open.
Okay.
And I knocked on the door, and I saw something like scattered on the outside of the outside door. And then I just, I kept calling his name and knocking on the windows and knocking on the doors, and the screen door is like wide open. And I just pulled the
Okay, were you able to see inside?
Yeah, I pulled the blinds back, and there's blood all over the floor in the living room. And
Can you see him at all anywhere?
I didn't go any further.
Then what's his name?
Rosalio Gutierrez.
Okay, do you know how old he is?
40.
Okay. And you can't see him at all, though?
I didn't go any further, no.
Okay.
I'm afraid. I just saw blood on the floor, and that's not normal.
Okay.
Something's not right. He's got
That's
kids.
it. We're gonna get officers over there. There's nobody else there that you could see?
No, he hasn't been answering the phone. Both of his vehicles are here. And like I said, his phone's been going straight to voicemail.
Let me just read out a little section from the responding officers who showed up just, a couple of minutes after that call. On May 19th, 2020, at 7 minutes past 11 a.m., I, Officer Benvenuto, and Officer Chase responded to a Czech welfare complaint at the address. Upon arrival, we spoke to the complainant, Sadie Beecham. Sadie stated that it was her boyfriend's house, Rosalio Gutierrez. She stated that she last spoke to him on May 17th, 2020, at approximately 8:30 p.m. She stated she received a text from him stating he was going to a friend's house. Sadie said she's been dating him for about 3 months. She has attempted to call him for the past 2 days, and his phone is going directly to voicemail. She stated that this is not normal, and that she usually hears from him every day. Due to her not hearing from him, she decided to come to his apartment to check on him. When she arrived, she observed both his vehicles in the parking lot. She then observed that the sliding door to his apartment was open. She opened the door and yelled his name, and saw what she believed to be blood on the carpet. At this point, she called 911. Sadie continued to state that something is not right. Officer Chase and I entered the residence through the sliding screen door. I immediately observed a large amount of what appeared to be blood on the living room floor. We called out Rosalio's name several times and entered the apartment. After entering the apartment, we began checking for Rosalio. I observed a large amount of what appeared to be blood spatter throughout the entire living room, kitchen, and dining room. I checked the bathroom and opened the closed door. I did not observe anything in there. I observed Officer Chase open the bedroom door that was closed. We did not observe anyone in the apartment. There was a significant amount of blood spatter all over the living room, spreading into any possible place it could. There were also no signs of forced entry into the home, so whatever happened here was already pretty odd. But to say that something terrible and horrifying happened here would be a bit of an understatement. There was also no sign, absolutely that many signs, zero, of Rosalio Gutierrez. Like, was he the victim? Was he the killer? Likely he was the former. Forensics would judge that from the front door, the main door into his house. Judging from the spatter around it, somebody had opened that door and had been attacked immediately. They had pushed into the living room with blood spreading out like a miasma throughout the entire apartment. Then in the living room, the victim collapsed, and the murderer, bathed in blood themselves, hit and hit and hit and hit until they were satisfied. And it took a long time for them to be satisfied. Judging from the pooling blood, there was a straight line on one of the edges, so there likely had been something there, a rug, a carpet. The victim had been rolled up into that rug and then dragged out, collapsing into the shadows. The front door had been where this attack, the entire incident, started, but when the police got in there, started going around, it was locked. Something the killer must have taken the time to do. Yet then they wrapped up the victim in a rug, brought them out the back door, the open screen door in the patio, and left that open and unlocked. There was a couple of weird things, actually, like in the house. Rosalio's wallet and stuff was found on the couch, yet his phone, nobody could find it. In fact, it wasn't until the next day, May 20th, it was found. Rosalio's phone was found in his freezer with a couple of credit cards in there. Why did the killer, we can presume, What kind of mad shit was he doing? Putting the victim's phone into the freezer. Maybe he wanted to save it for later, didn't want it to go bad. And this was an apartment complex, right? So, the police, they went door to door, knocking away. Did you hear anything? Did you see anything? 2 neighbors would say they heard loud noises on that Sunday night when it's believed Rosalio was killed, because that's, when people stopped hearing from him. But because Rosalio, he had 2 kids, they were presuming, he often had his kids over, so they were just like, wrestling or something. Searching the area outside, they found nothing, no evidence. Rosalio was completely missing, and Rosalio was not a small guy, so he would have put up a fight. He had been taken. Yeah, and the taker had left nothing behind. Except grudges. See, one of the first people Sadie mentioned as a possible suspect in her boyfriend's likely homicide. I mean, we can beat around the bush here. But with that amount of blood, I don't think he was walking away from that one. Something terrible and dark happened here. One of the first people, though, Sadie says, oh, here, listen. Her own ex. In fact, Sadie mentioned his name to those 2 responding officers who showed up initially, before detectives even, got involved. She said, I'm not saying he did something, but he could do something. The he was referring to Zachariah Anderson. Then later, when she began speaking to detectives as a proper case began to unfold, there was no could anymore. It was like, he did something. He was angry, he was upset, and he did not believe that anybody deserved a happy ending. Sadie told police that she believed her ex, the Zachariah Anderson fella, he was stalking her, he was following her, he was tracking her through her cell phone, hacking it, if you can believe such a thing. He had physically been watching her for quite some time. Sadie was so adamant that he must have done something, that she even left the interview room to go and get her daughter, their oldest daughter, Olivia, brought her back in, says, here, sure, she'll tell you if you don't believe me. Though at some points when Olivia was telling the story, she contradicted her mom and also had to ask her mom some kind of clarifying questions.
Why do you think Dad did it?
I don't know. I don't know what to think right now. Or did somebody do it? I don't know. Who else would hurt him? Who else would want to? I don't know.
But regardless, on the dartboard, for whatever happened to Rosalio, I don't think he was taken to Disneyland. It was Zachariah Anderson. Was he the monster Sadie was making him out to be? This person capable of extreme evil? Or did she just want it to look like he was? And before we kickstart into this old video, my friends, we all need a kickstart in the mañana. Finally those sunny spring mornings are back and it's time for a reset. There's new momentum, freshness in the air, and it is the perfect time to turn that energy into a simple daily habit you can stick with, whether that means starting a new routine or staying consistent with what's working. You need to make sure your body is getting, what it needs, all those vitamins and nutrients. But I mean, hey, we're all told, oh, you always need some more of that, but it's, where do I get it? How do? It's sort of a chore to get around to actually doing it, making sure you are getting what your body needs. Thankfully, this old video sponsor, AG1, is here to help. It's here to make your health a priority with a good diet, good routine, and giving your body, folks, the nutrients it needs. AG1 is the daily health drink that combines your vitamin, pre and probiotics, superfoods, and antioxidants into one simple green scoop. It's one of the easiest things you can do to support your body every day. 1 scoop in the morning with 8 to 12 ounces of cold water adds up, get this, to whole body health support in one clinically studied daily health drink. And your daily energy support, it helps keep you moving during the spring, going from the sports games to the festivals, to the vacay babies. What AG1 does, right, listen up, it helps fill in those nutrient gaps, giving your body, folks, the support it needs. And we all could use a little support. Sure don't I, myself, make myself a little AG1 getting my day off right. AG1 Next Gen fills common nutrient gaps in the modern diet and promotes good health by combining a multivitamin, pre and probiotics, a methylated B complex, and nutrient-dense whole foods into a single serving. Because you're good, folks, it needs more than a probiotic. We already knew that. AG1 Next Gen delivers a blend of 5 clinically studied probiotics along with prebiotics. Together, they promote regular bowel movements, less bloating, and improve overall digestion. Folks, nothing matters to me more than your digestion. Lighten the load, why don't you? And did I mention that AG1 comes in delicious flavors like original, citrus, berry, tropical? Oh, I just did mention. And AG1 is backed by clinical trials, so folks, they know what they're talking about. Through my link, get an AG1 flavor sampler and a bottle of Vitamin D3+K2 free in your welcome kit with your first AG1 subscription. That's $72 of value. Once again, follow the link on screen or click the link in the description and get yourself set up for spring. Thank you so much to AG1 for sponsoring this whole video. Now let's get back to it.
So 2019.
Okay.
So Christmas 2019. So that's December. So I didn't meet Rosalio until February.
Okay.
But December was when Zach and I had that blowout, and we hadn't talked at all. Like, I kept my distance from him. I tried to file a restraining order.
In 2020, Zach Anderson was 39 years of age, and himself and Sadie had been in a sort of on-again, off-again type of deal, stretching back over a decade. Zach and Sadie, they met back in 2007. The following year, 2008, they welcomed their first daughter together, Olivia. And then in 2015, they had another 2 kids, if you can believe that, twin boys. And they would live together, live separately, kind of, as I said, they were just like on one of these, sure will they, won't they, shit or get off the pot types of couples. It was on again, off again as the years went by, they shared custody. It completely went this way until December 2019, which is only 6 months before our story began. See, Zach and Sadie had gotten into an argument on Christmas Eve, which had devolved into shouting. Zach even got cited for disorderly conduct, and basically, they were like, alright, that's it, final straw, time, we're donezo. Enough was enough, they ended it for good. And Sadie would say, you know, he had been violent before, if you can believe it, like, never towards her, but, you know, sort of, kind of punching the wall type of thing. And I guess she was worried that her face might start looking like the wall. Zach was a native Wisconsinite, the second oldest of 4 boys, with the family extending as the parents split, remarrying, and then giving him more half-siblings. He worked a wide variety of jobs over the years, waiting tables, painting, construction, but most recently had been an audiovisual maintenance technician at Milwaukee Area Technical College. So they went their separate ways, started seeing other people. Sadie started dating Rosalio around February, but shit really hit the fan in March of 2020. Sadie had been dating Rosalio by, about a month, I think, at this stage. On March 5th, Zach had come over to Sadie's place, and Sadie ended up calling the cops, saying he was trying to take the kids and had come over unannounced. Zach's story was that he normally does announce himself, but when he tried to call Sadie, she never answered her phone, and when he arrived, the front door was open, and he was worried about the kids. When the police showed up, though, he left. No fuss at all. But from that moment, we are in, folks, pure nosedive territory. When Sadie told Rosalio about this, he recommended she get full custody, she start keeping a paper trail of all the things he did, joking at one point that maybe they should just like kill Zach or something. And as the next few days and weeks progressed, Sadie began accusing Zach of stalking her, keeping tabs on her, while at the same time it seemed that Sadie and Zach still hooked up on occasion, even though Sadie and Rosalio were also saying they were the love of each other's lives. It also seems that Rosalio too was seeing other women. It's all a whole load of shite, honestly, like somebody here was gonna get hurt. But how hurt? Well, we know that, actually. We have the answer to that one now. Was Zach actually stalking Sadie? I mean, he would he'd be texting Sadie saying, I'm in love with you. You're only the dog's bollocks, right? In April 28, 2020, almost 3 weeks before the probable homicide of Rosalio, Zach texted Sadie. Not much is going to hurt worse than watching someone go to bed with the person you love and listen to them explore their space with the lights out. This was developing into some weird high school bullshit kind of love triangle type shit. The people in this story are like 40 years old. Grow the shit up. But, you know, it's like they were all just jealous of each other in this weird... Why not just like have a group gangbang and just get out of your system? On May 1st, Zach to Sadie again. You always refuse to say we are done. You refuse to say it's over. You act angry with me for taking interest in someone else while you and Bugger, that was his nickname for Rosalio, sleep in the same bed. You call me a pig. So when your pants came off the other night, did that make you a pig? Then on May 7th, their daughter Olivia, she accidentally dropped a phone while she was doing kids things. And Sadie picked it up, and Sadie recognized the phone Olivia had dropped as being one of Zach's old phones. So he'd given his old phone to their daughter, but he hadn't factory reset the phone, so she was able to go through and see all the shit he was doing, the messages. She then went into his Amazon account via the Amazon app and saw that he had ordered 2 mini real-time GPS car locators. They were delivered to Zach's address a couple of weeks previous. I can only think of one reason you'd be using car trackers for. Probably the reason they were invented.
I just had a feeling like he's tracking me. There's way too many coincidences that he knows where I'm going or when I'm going or where, if I'm leaving or that I don't come home at night. And then, I have people that drive by and tell me that you're not at home.
Have you checked your car?
I did. I had a mechanic friend look it over and took it over. I just didn't take it into like a place.
Right.
Real custody issues began then. Sadie would continually accuse Zach of stalking her. Rosalio. Zach would deny it. This was all over texts.
Something about like, are you hacking my phone? Like, what is going on? I'm like, someone said you're in my phone calls. I'm like, you need to stop this. Please stop following me. Just please stop all of this. This is too much. And then we had a little bit of a conversation, and he doesn't want to really talk about that. You always accuse me of stalking you and this. I'm like, weird things are happening. This is what's going on,
But it does seem like Zach used Find My iPhone a lot. And he had a lot of iPhones, and he was just handing them out willy-nilly, especially to his kids. I mean, there was definitely no smoke without fire for old Zacharuni. Right, one time in April, it was around 1 a.m, he took their daughter Olivia, and he snuck back to Sadie's home when she had Rosalio over, and he began filming them, like canoodling on the couch, his daughter. And he was like, you want to see what your mom's doing? He snuck into Rosalio's truck, stole his driver's license, so he knew where Rosalio lived.
I looked out the window, and I looked out my front window, which looks directly out to the main Appleton Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And as I looked out the window, I saw a black car pull out, and I looked next to a bar. The bar is closed. There's no business because of COVID, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I saw a black car, and I'm like, son of a bitch.
Who is this car?
It had to be naughty. I mean,
he had been recording conversations with Sadie.
There is fucking evidence that you are fucking stalking me.
I'm not stalking you.
You did.
What are you talking about? Me and the kids came over the other day just to pick up warmer clothes.
Here in the middle of the fucking night. You left our kids to fucking come here in the middle of the night. I saw your car.
Then go take a picture of the license plate or something. Don't just accuse me. Holy shit.
I saw your car.
You keep saying...
No, I saw your car.
No, I don't.
On May 16th, 2020, Zach texted Sadie.
At night. 11:23 at night, he says, you race down to Kenosha every chance you get to lay with some Down syndrome Mexican version of your father, just to pull a noseful and laugh at anything he says as you desperately throw yourself at him, and in that you have your happiness. And that's what he sent to me on that Saturday from the burner phone.
What time was that?
11:23.
So when Sadie was telling all of this to the police, you can see how they would be very interested in speaking with Zach and finding out what he was up to on Sunday, May 17th.
So we're investigating a case of stalking involving your children's mother, Sadie. Sure. All right. So that's what we want to talk to you about. Okay. Can you kind of tell me what's going on with, like, what's up with your guys' relationship? What's been happening, going on?
Well, so we were together for like 12 years. And about 6 months ago, she flipped her script pretty hard and went from being, primary caretaker of our kids to barfly, And so she, to my account, has picked up about 4 boyfriends. She had made comments to that effect to our daughter, and she's been chasing around with whatever guys, to my understanding, will buy her some blow, and that's how she's been spending her time. They reopened the bars in Wisconsin last week, Friday or whatever. My kids were at the bar 2 days in a row,
It was the day of the investigation, May 19th, that police took Zach in for questioning. He was told it was regarding the stalking accusations from Sadie, that it was not related to the disappearance and likely murder of Rosalio. Zach's response was, of course, there's no stalking. Had he been keeping an eye on Sadie? Sure, keeping an eye on her, because he had begun to suspect, get this, she had been frequenting bars a lot, maybe doing something a little stronger than booze, and he was worried for his kids.
No matter what happens, no matter what goes on, she accuses me. Even today, as an example, or last night, if you guys get my cell phone, I'll show you how ludicrous it is. She accused me of hacking her phone, her text messages, and her emails. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, you know things that people shouldn't, which just my lingering suspicion is that she's doing blow. I don't know for sure. I haven't been able to verify that, but just on her behavior and, you know, I mean, I've known her for 12 years and it's a hard shit. So huge difference. So anyway, she makes a bunch of accusations and she says, well, you know how to program or something, you know how to hack my phone. I said, I don't even know any programming languages. I just worked for the phone company for a decade. That doesn't mean I know how to hack people's phones. Like, you don't understand what I did there maybe, but it had nothing to do with that, you know? Like, it's just crazy. But she's like, well, you know people. I'm like, nobody I'm going to ask to jeopardize their job over this bullshit. Like, what are you talking about? So she's just got some acute paranoias over shit that I can't make sense of.
He had been recording all of this shit because there was a custody hearing in the near future and he wanted to have a stockpile of rocks he could sling at Sadie in case this goes nasty.
She's had a list of accusations about me stalking her and otherwise. And I have gone to check some information on her. And I have looked to verify some things like whether or not she's going to the bar and that kind of thing. But really just for the purpose of the custody battle, because it's just going to be a mess. And I'm not stalking her, you know. I mean, it's fine. She's got a right to go her own direction.
But was he an obsessive stalker? He was in his arse. In the meantime, the search for Rosalio was ongoing, and the leads were slim to nil. Whoever had snooken him out, rolled up on a carpet, as dark and horrifying as that is, they'd done a pretty good job covering their tracks because police could find absolutely no leads. Nothing. Quite simply, nothing.
Near the center of a police investigation, 40-year-old's Kenosha apartment guarded by a squad and surrounded by police tape as investigators look for clues.
I have my breakdown moments and then I just kind of step back and say, you know what, law enforcement is doing their job.
He'd completely vanished. And their number one suspect, Zach, a guy who had an issue with Rosalio because he was sleeping with his ex, who was a stalker, who had been watching them, who knew where he lived. He was giving them absolutely jack shit.
So let's talk about Sunday, man. Explain your day to me on Sunday.
Yeah, generally, I don't remember offhand.
Did you do anything that night?
I think I took a nap probably. Maybe went over to my girlfriend's house, I'm not even sure.
Did you spend the night there?
I don't ask her.
Well, I'm asking you. These are important questions, man.
I don't remember if I spent anything.
Now, at the time, right, Zach was dating a new woman named Christine, and his alibi for the night Rosalio was likely murdered was that he was with Christine. Ask her. Shy talk away with her. She'll tell you, I was with her the entire night. And police did. How are you, Christine? Where was Zach the other night? And she said, where do you think? He was with me. He was with her the entire night. And Christine lived with her sister. So Christine also goes, you don't believe me? Go ask my sister. She'll tell you the same story. She didn't say the same story, actually. Christine's sister was like, no. Zach, who? I didn't see him at all that night. He was not with his girlfriend. So where was he? Via text messages, the last time Christine and Zach had spoken, the day of the, let's say, murder, was at 10:31 p.m. Christine texting Zach, alright, okay, whatever, going to bed. Doesn't sound like the type of text you would send if that person was in the same house as you. It also does sound like the type of text you would send if you had been trying to communicate with somebody and they were blanking you. Maybe because they were busy doing something else.
I don't know what's going on right now.
I want to know where you were Sunday night.
I just told you.
No, you think you told me.
I think I told you, okay.
No, there's a big difference.
I'm not sure what you're getting at. But what I can tell you is, I don't know what you guys are doing. I'm tired as fuck. Either take me home or give me a lawyer. Because I'm not really, what you're doing is really odd.
Within 48 hours, you'll have a preliminary hearing for
what?
Stalking.
And do shit to her. What are you talking about?
That's what's happening tonight.
Police arrested Zach May 19th and then did a search of his home for any evidence relating to the disappearance of Rosalio Gutierrez Jr. In the house, they didn't really find anything, but in the minivan out front, they discovered that someone had removed most of the carpet in the rear. Olivia would tell police that when she had last been in that van, when she was hanging out with her dad, May 16th, 3 days earlier, the carpet had been wholly intact. But on the section that did remain, there was what looked like blood. There were bleach stains. That's what they thought anyway, and they sent it all to the lab. They also found a burn pit in the backyard of his house that looked like it had just been used. Again, all sent for testing. Now, Zach, he lived on sort of the opposite side of Milwaukee from where Rosalio lived. Rosalio, was near Kenosha. Zach was way to the north, but like in the boonies. He lived like out in the middle of the countryside. Lots of empty fields, spaces for hiding a body, maybe around him. But he would say, the burn pit. I live in the countryside. Sure, we burn shit all the time. That was me just burning, yourself, like just smell shite. Like, look as hard as you want, you will not find any of Rosalio's DNA in the burn pit. And he was right, they didn't. But I mean, come on, it's all sort of compounding, little circumstantials, suspicious behavior. And then in that minivan that had been parked out front, on the floor, a receipt. This was from a Walmart not too far away, and the date and time, the morning after it's believed Rosalio was killed. I mean, we're talking about tools. There were gloves, trash bags, Clorox wipes, all this shit, purchased at 8:30 a.m. on May 18th. When he arrived at the parking lot of this Walmart, he parked at the far end of it, on a rainy ass day, as you can see. Most people try to park, close to the store in shite weather. Not this guy. Maybe because he didn't want his car to be seen on camera. Now, he and his supporters would say him buying cleaning products the day after somebody was murdered, somebody he may not like, nothing to do with it, right? He was buying cleaning products. This is May 18th. This is like, May 18th, 2020. Guess what's going on in the world? Big C, COVID, right? Everybody's got it. There's a pandemic going on. He bought all this cleaning shit because he just wanted to stay clean.
I just want to be pure.
He just wanted to make sure there wasn't any bacteriums floating around or any of that sort of business. Nothing to do with a murder, cleaning site, no. What I have to say, that you look at the CCTV footage, if he was buying all these cleaning products because he was so concerned about hygiene and COVID in particular, why wasn't he wearing a mask? Police searched and searched the areas around his home. They did find more burn pits in the rolling fields. They kept searching with dogs and drones. And they found nothing. It was close to 2 weeks after Zach's minivan had been sent in for processing that investigators got their next piece of evidence. And it was a speck. I'm talking pinprick, my friends, of blood, believed to be blood, found in Zach's minivan. And that came back as Rosalio's. The tiniest speck of blood, just one. But that was enough. That was enough. Like, seriously. Like, this is, you could think that was a million different things. But testing said it was Rosalio's. How else would it get there? Digging through more digital evidence, they found more of his stalking, his watching of Rosalio. He even had a folder on his laptop with the name Rosalio Gutierrez. He had downloaded all of his Facebook images, everything. Zach was sitting in jail all this time, and it wasn't until December 11th, 2020, when police came to get a DNA sample from him, that he was alerted that his charges were being upgraded from stalking to murder.
According to a criminal complaint, investigators found carpet was cut out of Anderson's van and noted a distinct odor of bleach. A DNA analyst saying blood found inside Anderson's vehicle belongs to Gutierrez.
The blood was swabbed.
Anderson also charged with stalking, but has denied ever meeting Gutierrez. His defense attorney challenging the testimony and the officer's knowledge of the case.
Most of this was double hearsay. He didn't know about anything. It was just plain words on paper.
Anderson bound over for trial.
And they still had nobody, as hard as they searched. They searched so hard they were able to find a pinprick of blood, but they could not find any other evidence. Rosalio's body, the rug he'd, likely been wrapped up in. Nothing. Ultimately, the trial against Zachariah Anderson moved forward in 2023. No body, circumstantial evidence. The only real link saying that Zach Anderson murdered Rosalio being that pinprick of blood. That's pretty much it. Other than that, he's a stalker, he's a weirdo, he sucks. Sure, killer. Clearly a murder had taken place here, but what really happened is incredibly unclear. Thing is though, Rosalio, right, big guy for you. He worked construction. He was bigger than Zach. He would have put up a fight. When Zach was arrested 2 days after, there was nothing on him. No marks, no bruises, nada. And you'd think that Rosalio would have been able to get a dig in. Nothing of Zach's was ever found in Rosalio's house. No DNA, no evidence, no fingerprints, no nothing. A lot of it seemed to be, well, with the amount of blood found, it must be a murder, Rosalio must be dead. And that's fair. With the amount of blood there, it's hardly, it's not very likely he's up and walking about. Zach didn't like him, therefore he killed him. Could it have been anybody else? Well, sure, we got Zach. The stalker, the weirdo. What? We don't need anybody else. They had the pinprick of blood. How else could it have gotten in Zach's van if he didn't murder Rosalio? He would say he never met him, never said, oh hey, I'll give you a lift, let's go drive, let's go drinking, driving, fishing, whatever. No, nothing. There's no reason for that pinprick of blood to be in there except if his body was transported in it. Why was a carpet removed? When Olivia was saying that the carpet had been there just a couple of days before, and now half of it's mysteriously gone, never to be found. And with all that, the trial proceeded exactly as you think it would.
The defendant has actively admitted to Sadie that he is jealous, but the motive for the defendant is to end this relationship and to do anything he must to stay in control.
The prosecution went through all of its circumstantial evidence, while the defense disputed everything they could.
They did luminol testing. I don't know if any of you are aware of that, but what they do is they spray this substance and it will basically light up if there's the presence of blood. Didn't light up. They said that there was this one flicker of light, so they tested that area, negative for blood. This dot that the state claims someone's going to tell you was blood, in an email from Lisa Treffinger, the analyst that will testify, you'll hear her tell you that the state asked her. An email from the state. I just wanted to confirm that the sample that was sourced to Rosalio from the van was blood, right? This was analyst Treffinger's response, and she'll testify to this. We could not confirm it was blood. Her own words, not mine.
Now, going through it all, three main things stood out to me. Three pieces of evidence that seem a little, hang on there. Slow your roll a little bit. That just seemed kind of inconsistent with what the narrative the prosecution was pushing. It's believed that Rosalio was killed sometime after 9:30 p.m. on May 17th. The reason why they say sometime after 9:30 p.m. is because he didn't respond to any texts or calls after 9:30 p.m. He was a responder. He wasn't one of these lads who just ghosts you. So therefore he must have been dead sometime after then. Now stick with me here, right? What the prosecution said is that Zach drove to Rosalio's, killed him, obviously he was killed in his own apartment, wrapped him up, put him in the van, and then drove back north to the other side of Milwaukee and dumped him somewhere in the woods and the fields that go on and on and on forever. Rosalio's phone, it had a orientation change at 10:10 p.m. Orientation change just means the phone went like this to this, right? So somebody maybe was holding it, somebody moved it in some kind of way. Must have been the killer, because Rosalio had been killed around 9:30 p.m. and his phone was found in the freezer. So whoever killed Rosalio was probably still in the apartment at 10:10 p.m. Now, Zach placed a call at 11:20 p.m., about an hour and 10 minutes after the phone moved. But Zach's call pinged from a cell phone tower near his home on the complete other side of Milwaukee. So that means if Zach is the killer, he moved Rosalio's phone at 10:10 p.m. and then was back near home at 11:20 p.m. Now, he could have made the trip in that time. It's plausible if you look at, Google Maps. But if he had made the trip in his minivan that way, why was he not caught on the 40-ish traffic cameras that dot that entire route he must have taken to be from there to there at those times? He was not, and you'd think, did the police not check him? Well, you think the police would want to, as this is proof of the killer leaving the victim's home and going in the direction of his own home. But that never came up. He could have driven from Rosalio's home to his own home, off highway, using the back roads, but he wouldn't have been able to do it in that time frame. And here's another thing, right? Rosalio was not an angel. In fact, that very night, he was having another girl another girl he had met on Facebook dating. Her name was Neridia. She was coming over to Rosalio's apartment that night. They were going to chill out. He was going to drink a beer. She said she was only going to drink water because she didn't want to get a DUI that night. She comes over to Rosalio's and said she was parked up, in the parking lot outside his apartment at around 9:30 p.m. And she was texting him, saying, "Oh, I'm here. Can you let me in?" And he stopped responding because he didn't respond to any texts after 9:30 p.m. Neridia would say she was sitting outside in her car, waiting for him, for the guts of an hour, from 9:30 to 10:20 p.m. She said she had a clear view of his apartment, the front door, into his apartment building. She said she saw a black female and 2 Hispanic males, and nobody else go in. So she was saying no white males, or at least nobody who looked like Zach, went into Rosalio's building. When we know the killer got in via the front door. They opened the front door and began attacking Rosalio immediately. Now, that's what she said in her initial police report, but later she would change her story, saying, now that you mention it, I was actually parked outside the wrong building. She changed her story 2 years later, just before the trial begins.
Today is March 22nd, and it's 9:30, and I'm here with Neridia Messias. So you couldn't see what was in front of you this way?
No.
Okay, so you couldn't see the front of this building. You were basically looking at the buildings across from us?
Correct.
Okay.
That's a bit odd.
So I stayed here for good, 10, maybe another 15 minutes. And I'm like, hey, is everything okay? I'm thinking he's probably showering or I don't know.
Right.
Nothing.
At the time that you came here on that night of May 17th in 2020, did you believe that you were in front of his apartment?
Yes.
Okay.
The evidence in the car. Luminol was used in the investigation to find blood or bleach, but it found neither. No bleach was used in the van, and other than that tiny speck, no blood. And as for the blood, that little speck, which is the key holding the prosecution's argument together, because, that's the blood, that's what everything hinges on, that's even kind of controversial. It's the main piece of evidence saying Zach killed Rosalio, right? Because other than that, there's nothing. But that tiny speck of blood, it was too small to be tested properly. They couldn't even tell if it was blood. See, in forensics, or at least in this particular case, so forensics people feel free to, tell me I'm stupid. When they're doing forensics, they do 2 tests. One test tells you what this substance is. Is it blood? Is it bodily fluids, pee, poop, whatever it is? The other test tells you who it belongs to. Because the speck was so small, they could only do the who does it belong to test. And it belonged to Rosalio, but they couldn't tell if that was blood. In fact, the forensics person would say, I'm pretty sure it was blood because it was brown. It could be poop.
Now you are going to do an analysis of it, I assume?
That's correct.
Okay. Using the usual machinery and methods as best you can, correct?
That is correct, yes.
All right. So you have told us previously on other samples that you did a chemical test for blood in multiple other samples. Do you recall that in your testimony?
Yes, I do.
Did you do that as to A1?
No, I did not.
Okay, so why? Why didn't you, if you thought this might be blood, why didn't you do it on this sample?
This sample was so small. I'm like a pinhead size. So again, I just wanted to use every amount that we had available for testing, for the genetic testing.
And whose DNA was that a match for, if any? What person was it a match for?
Rosalio Gutierrez. Given the color and the way that the stain looked, I would say that it would be blood. He asked me very specifically, can you confirm that it's blood? No, I could not. I did no testing to determine that it was blood. She did not.
Because on May 19th, 2020, when law enforcement met with Sadie outside of Mr. Gutierrez's apartment, she said, my ex had something to do with it. And they said, great, let's run with it. The fact that the timeline illustrates Mr. Anderson could not have done this. The fact that no one puts him there on May 17th, 2020. The fact that there is no blood in the van, there's no body, there are no remains, there's no murder weapon. They still are going with the fact that Mr. Anderson committed this crime. That's because, remember, that's who they chose as their main character.
Regardless to these pretty interesting and sort of weird things about the Zach Anderson case, he was found guilty of murder.
The jury find the defendant, Zachariah Anderson, guilty of intentional homicide of the first degree as charged.
Zachariah Anderson was sentenced to life in prison. He will not be eligible for parole for 40 more years.
Is there anything you wish to say before sentence is pronounced?
How much time do I got?
Well, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Oh, you mean how much? Oh, I misunderstood. I've had people give us
we're not
different version.
Not
of
that version. Yeah.
How much time do you have to talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a reasonable period. I mean, this is one of the major events of your life, so you're certainly welcome to speak. I'm not going to say it's unlimited, but you're welcome to tell me what you think. Speak from your heart.
I don't want to go into all the details of the case. I got a lot of dispute about what was said, what was portrayed. I think the facts, with a little more scrutiny, tell a much different story than what the jury decided. And I don't think that things played out fairly. What I can tell you is, I didn't kill anybody. What I can tell you is, I didn't stalk anybody. And what I can tell you is, I didn't dispose of any corpse. It's really weird to be sentenced for or convicted for it, and soon to be sentenced for it. But I didn't, Judge. I'm innocent.
It's a very interesting case. As tragic as Rosalio's death is, you hope there's not more tragedy attached too. What do you think, folks? Was Zach responsible for the murder? Zach, stalker, yes. Weirdo, yes. Sucked, yes. Killer? And if not him, whom? Whom knows? Since his imprisonment, a website has sprung up called Free Zachariah Anderson. It has some videos posted he recorded in prison, his diary, which he hasn't updated in a few months, in which he talks about meeting Mark Jensen, another guy from Kenosha, who I covered previously, who also sucked. And it has a lot of information about the case, evidence, that sort of thing. And it does make these points about some of the contradicting evidence, pointing to Zach maybe not being the killer. Contradicting the narrative of Zach murdering Rosalio and hiding the body. Those points I discussed. Hiding the body, by the way, which still to this date has not been found, and there's never been any evidence linking Zach to where it could possibly be. It's a weird circumstantial case. And I mean, you know, if you're talking about like when I began looking into this case, I definitely went in with one idea, and then the more I researched, the more I was thinking, wait, hang on, that's a bit mad, isn't it? Like, I'm not saying Zachariah is innocent in the killer of Rosalio. Hey, listen, if it's going to be anybody, if I was a betting fella, it's probably him, right? He's a stalker, he's a weirdo, he didn't like Rosalio, he knew where he lived, He didn't have an alibi for the night he died. A speck of some substance was found in his van. He acted weird, he had the burn pits. Why did he go shopping to Walmart? Why was he buying all the cleaning supplies? But does that mean he murdered somebody? I don't know. I don't know. Folks, what do those facts mean? I'll leave that for you to figure out. But thank you so much for watching, folks. It means the absolute world to me that you're here watching this whole video. I hope you found it as interesting as I did, and leave your thoughts down below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next old video, which should be up whenever it's up, so please give it a go. And check out the Patreon, where you get early access ad-free all videos, Patreon exclusive videos, Discord. Check out the podcast every Monday morning, brand new shampoo podcast exclusive stories, and that's it. Take care of each other, because I love you. Mike out.